So, good day to each and everyone. So, today our topic is all about the Article 10, which is the local government. So, our objectives: number one, identify the territorial and political subdivisions of the Republic of the Philippines. Number two, spot the autonomous regions. Number three, define the basic powers given to the local government units and autonomous regions. And the last one is to explain its role in local politics. So first, what is a local government? So the local government refers to a political subdivision of a nation or state which is constituted by law and has a substantial control of local affairs with officials elected or otherwise locally selected or appointed. So in section 1, the territorial and political subdivisions of the Republic of the Philippines are the provinces, the cities, the municipalities, and the barangay. So there shall be a autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao or ARMM and Cordilleras or the CAR, Cordilleras Administrative Region. So, we should always remember that a third autonomous region would require a constitutional amendment. Mo atong huna-hunaon nga ang if naay pangkatulong nga autonomous region, ang kinahanglan is a constitutional amendment. So these political subdivisions created by the Constitution cannot be replaced by amendment and not by the law. So once the political subdivisions basta gi-create through a constitution, dili na siya maasi-asi og replaced even if it is an amendment or a law. So next, while Congress can abolish or eradicate individual units, it cannot abolish an entire class of LGUs. So medyo naapay limitation ang power sa Congress. So next, okay. So first, what are the importance of the local government? Unsa ka importante? Nga local raman ta na, dili man ta na national. So, the local governments are the viable organs for the performance of local functions. So, as local affairs can best regulated by the people in the locality rather than by the central authority. So, alangan kinsa may mo lead sa local government ang mga kuan ay ang katading nasa national nga official dili. So kinsa may nakahibaw nga need ni og improvement ang kani nga barangay, ang mga local officers sa mga local authorities. So grabe ka importante ang local government kay medyo weak ang national government kung wala ning local government. Okay. So the territorial and political subdivisions of the Philippines. We have the provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangays are the political bodies corporate endued with powers to be exercised by and through the respective local governments with law. So the provinces are composed of what? The provinces are composed of several municipalities and cities. Like sa Cebu, Cebu province, daghan siyang mga gikuan. Daghan nga municipalities and cities. So the cities are the urban centers of population. So maong ang Bugo na himo na nakuan siya Bugo City tungod kay populated kaayo siya. Mosad sa Cebu City, populated sad siya. Ang sa Sanrem dili man kay siya tantong populated. So wala siya nakaabot sa gi-target nga population. So once magkadaghan ang tao sa San Remigio na nakaabot siya sa required population. So matawag ni San Remigio City pohon. Pero dugay pa. But, okay, proceed. So the barangays are units of the cities. Or sa municipalities. So as they are provided in the Constitution, there must always be political subdivisions. Unsa ito sila? We have the provinces, the cities, the municipalities, and the barangays. So the creation of the special metropolitan political subdivisions and also the autonomous regions for the Muslim Mindanao and for the Cordilleras must comply with the provisions of Section 11 and 18 respectively. So next, for Section 2, the local for Section 2, the territorial and the political subdivision or subdivisions shall enjoy local autonomy. So unsa man dining local autonomy? So kung moingon tag local autonomy, it is the exercise of certain basic powers such as the police power, the power of eminent domain, the taxing power by local government units so as to best serve the interest and promote the general well-being of their inhabitants. So, mo ni siya ang paggamit sa katungdanan, saktong katungdanan. So, all political subdivisions shall enjoy local autonomy. So, this doesn't mean that the LGUs are completely free from the central government. Naagyapon siya restriction, naagyapon siya limitation. So, the judiciary may still pass on LGU actions, or the president may exercise disciplinary power over the local government officials. Kung tanaw sa president, medyo abuse na kayo sila sa ilang power. So, mao na siya. So, sa kay mga reasons nga nung gigrantan man ta og local autonomy. So, usa sa mga reason, it is importance of local solutions to local problem, 'di ba? Kung naay mga local problem, ang maka-solve pud ana ang mga local officers, no? Like about sa road. So we have kung naay road nga medyo guba na kayo. So igtan-aw ni Mayor Mar nga need na siya improvement or pahimu i-concrete na siya. So go. So naay power si Mayor Mar. So next for section 3, the Congress shall enact a local government code which shall provide for a more responsive and accountable local government structure. It is instituted through a system of decentralization with the effective effective mechanisms of number 1, recall, initiative, and referendum. So, unsam day ang mga mechanism sa recall, initiative, and referendum? So, kung moingon tag recall or the recall of officers, it is a legal process by which the registered voters of a local government unit remove or for loss of confidence or the elective local officials. O it is the method of removing a certain person from office by the submission of the question as to whether or not they shall be removed. So mao na siya sa recall. Kung ari tag initiative, it is a legal process whereby the registered voters of a local government unit may directly propose, enact, or amend any law or ordinance for the purpose of independently or the regularly constituted from a local legislative body. While kung moingon tag referendum, it is a legal process whereby the registered voters of the local government unit concerned may approve or amend or reject an ordinance enacted by a certain legislative body. So next, section 4, the President of the Philippines shall exercise the general supervision over local governments, the provinces with respect to the component cities and municipalities, and cities and municipalities with respect to the component barangays, shall ensure that the acts of their component units are within the scope of their prescribed powers and functions. So, the section 4 states that the President exercise the general supervision all over the local government unit or the LGUs wherein the President exercise direct supervision over the provinces, the autonomous regions, and the independent cities. So this power is limited. This power is limited to ensuring that the lower officials exercise their powers or their functions in accordance with the law. So, sabotable raman siya. So, the president, no? So, the president, napoy restrictions siya, napoy siya limitation. The president cannot substitute his judgment for that of an LGU official unless the latter is acting contrary to law. So, the president may impose administrative sanctions that against the LGU officials such as unsa man suspension for 120 days or equivalent na siya og 4 months and may even remove them from their position. Kung medyo dako na kay na sila og sala, wala na matangtangan na sila position. So kapresa katong kang Laila de Lima. So inato nga mga case. So next, the provinces exercise direct supervision over component cities and municipalities. So mo to siya. So ang province mo'y mo supervise sa cities sa iyang nasakupan. So ang nasakupan sa like sa province of Cebu, so daghan we have the Barili, the San Romeo, the Bugo, etc. Basta daghan kayo. So the cities and municipalities exercise direct supervision over the component barangays. For example, sa San Romeo. So ang i-supervise sa San Romeo, mao ni nga barangay like sa Anapog, Argawanon, Luyang, Bankasan, Bagtik, Punta, Poblasyon, Saba, and many more. So next, section 5. So each local government unit shall have the power to create own resources of revenues or levy taxes, fees, and charges. So napod siya limitation. Nasa limitation. So usa sa mga iyang limitation, it is subject to guidelines and limitations as Congress may provide. So pwede ta mananood to sa mga local government code, no? So the guidelines set by the Congress shall be consistent with the basic policy of the local autonomy. So the taxes, the fees, and the charges shall accrue exclusively to the local governments. So next, we have the section 6. So the local government units shall have a just share as determined by law in the national taxes, which shall be automatically released to them. So, a uniform and non-discriminatory criteria must therefore be prescribed in the LGC or the local governance code, as the latter are essential to implement a fair and equitable distribution of national taxes to all LGUs. If the criteria in creating a local government units are not uniform and discriminatory, therefore, there can be no fair and just distribution of the national taxes to government or local government units. So next, we have the section 7. The local governments shall what? Shall be entitled to an equitable share in the proceeds of the utilization and development of the national wealth within the respective areas. So it including the sharing the same with the inhabitants by the way of direct benefits. So mao to siya. So for section 8, the term of office of the elected or elective local officials, except from the barangay officials, which shall be determined by law. So the term of the officer of all local elective officials elected after the effectivity of this code. Unsa to nga code? The Local Government Code of 1993 or the Republic Act 7160 in the section 43. So adto na to makita ang term of the barangay official naa sa Local Government Code or the LGC of 1993, Republic Act 7160, Section 43. So pila na to ang kuan niya? Ang year. So 3 years. Tapos no such official shall serve for more than 3 consecutive times. So bawal nga katulo nga sunod-sunod nga termino. So next, so we have the section 9, the legislative bodies of local governments shall have a sectoral representation as may be prescribed by law. So unsa kani sila? So the sectoral representatives, so or the representatives form, so dapat na from women's sector, from the workers, from the third sector. Unsa man sila? You have the urban poor, the indigenous cultural communities, the disabled person, or any other sector as may be determined by the sanggunian. So mas okay man jud nga na ay representative sa ila kay para kung naa salay mga yangungo mas makiter dayon na may mulid, na may mo represent, so mo na nakanindot. So next, we have section 10, no province, city, municipality, or barangay may be created, divided, merged, abolished, or its boundary substantially altered, except in accordance with the criteria established in the Local Government Code or the LGC and subject to approval by a majority of the votes cast in a plebiscite the political units directly affected. So mo to yung mga requisite para maka-create ka og local unit. So dili dayon ka maka create dayon og local government. So nay mga nakaipas ng mga requirements, dapat approve siya sa majority. So inana siya. Ang continuation sa section 10, so the Local Government Code requirements relate to the matters such as the population, the revenue, and the area requirements. So sa barangay, kung ganahan mo nga magkuag barangay, dapat na kuan sa cater sa mo sa ilang mga requirements kay need man siya population na may required population, na required nga revenue, na required nga area, specific area pilay sukod jud para matawag na siya nga barangay. So next, the Section 11, the Congress may, by law, create a special metropolitan political subdivisions subject to a plebiscite as set forth in Section 10 hereof. So the component cities and municipalities shall retain their basic autonomy and shall be entitled to their own local executive and legislative assemblies. So the jurisdiction of the metropolitan authority that will thereby be created shall be limited to basic services requiring coordination. So the Section 11 impliedly repeals the Metropolitan Manila Commission or the MMC. It intends to preserve a part of it. So it is in effect a supra municipal authority whose jurisdiction is limited. Limited na siya. Limited only to basic services. The same is true for other political regions. So same ra sila na limited only to basic services ra. So mao ra sa ubang metropolitan regions. So, we have the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority. So, another example, sa local government units of 12 cities and 5 municipalities sa Manila. Okay, we have the Caloocan, Manila, Mandaluyong, Makati, Pasay, Pasig, Quezon, Muntinlupa, Las Piñas, Marikina, Parañaque, Valenzuela, Malabon, Navotas, Pateros, San Juan, and Taguig. So unsa ditong mga services ang na state ganina. So we have the metro-wide services. So unsa man ni sila? Mga katong mga basic services. So we have the development planning, we have the transport and traffic management, we have the solid waste disposal, the flood control, the urban renewal, the zoning, the land use planning, the shelter services, the health and sanitation, the urban protection, the pollution control, and the last one, the public safety. Mo to mga basic metro-wide services. So next we have the Section 12. Cities that are highly urbanized as determined by law and component cities whose charters prohibit their voters from voting for provincial elective officials shall be independent of the province. So the voters of the component cities within a province whose charters contain no such prohibition shall not be deprived of the right to vote elective provincial officials. So unsa ditong unsa katong mga kind of cities akong na state ganina? Unsa katong mga kind of cities? So you have the highly urbanized cities. We have the cities that are raised to the cities not raised to the highly urbanized category. Wala siya na raised sa highly urbanized pero but whose existing charters prohibit their voters from voting in provincial elections. And the last one is the component cities. So the section 13 in the Article 10 local government. The local government units may group themselves. So pwede mag-group themselves or consolidate or coordinate their efforts, their services, and resources for purposes commonly beneficial to them in accordance with law. So the grouping or association contemplated in this section or in section 13 does not authorize. So wala nag-authorize sa unsa man sa creation of a new judicial entity. So limited ug kapon siya. Nasa limitation. However, they may group themselves even without an act of legislator. So, pwede man sila mag-group, mag-consolidate og ideas, magtinabangay, maghinatagay og services. So, pwede man na siya nga makatabang sa isig area, sa isig jurisdiction nila. So, for section 14, the president shall provide for regional development councils or the other similar bodies composed of local government officials, regional heads of departments, and other government offices, and representatives from non-governmental organizations within the regions for the purposes of administrative decentralization to strengthen the autonomy of the units therein and to accelerate the economic and social growth and developments of the units in the Philippines. So the section 14 articulates the intention of the framers to foster the bottom-up approach of development. So through the administrative, the political decentralization, the economic development, the social development, it is localized and accelerated. So, next, ari na punta sa autonomous region. Autonomous region. The ARMM and the CAR. So in section 15, there shall be created autonomous regions, especially in Muslim Mindanao. So moto ARMM and in the Cordilleras or the CAR consisting of provinces na, cities, municipalities, and geographical areas sharing common and distinctive historical and cultural heritage, economic and social structures, and other relevant characteristics within the framework of this constitution and the national sovereignty as well as the territorial integrity of the Republic of the Philippines. So, the creation of such and the claim of an autonomy must be behind on a distinctive regional commonality of historical, cultural heritage, economic, and social structures, and other relevant characteristic. So the distinctive regional commonality, which is the basis, so mo yung mga basyan for the creation of the autonomous regions, it is found in the Muslim Mindanao and the Cordilleras. So next we have section 16. The President shall exercise general supervision over the autonomous regions to ensure that laws are faithfully executed. So, mao gyapon ko ana. So, ang President mo supervise gapon sa mga autonomous regions para mas hapsay o mas matanaw niya nga ni-implement na sila og tarong para mas naay peace, na ay unity. So next, Section 17. All powers, function, and responsibilities not granted by the Constitution or by law to the autonomous regions shall be vested in the national government. So katong mga powers, katong mga functions, katong mga responsibilities nga wala na cater sa Constitution, it must be vested, no? Vested jud sa national government para mas powerful siya, mas effective og mas okay jud siya. So we have the section 18. The Congress shall enact an organic act for each autonomous region with the assistance and participation of the Regional Consultative Commission, which is composed of representatives that is appointed by the President from a list of nominees from the multi-sectoral bodies. So kaning act or the organic act shall be define the basic structure of the government for the region consisting of the executive department and legislative assembly, which is both of which shall be elective and representative of the constituent political units. So the organic acts shall likewise provide for special courts with personal, family, and property law jurisdiction consistent with the provisions of this. And for our section 19, the first Congress elected under this Constitution shall pass the organic acts for the autonomous regions in Muslim Mindanao and Cordillera. So katong mga first Congress na elected sa maong Constitution dapat mo pass og organic acts para sa autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao and Cordilleras. So for our section 20, within its territorial jurisdiction and subject to the provisions of the Constitution and national laws, the organic act of the autonomous regions shall provide for the legislative powers of our number 1, administrative organization, number 2, creation of sources of revenues, number 3, the ancestral domain and national resources. Number 4, the personal, the family, and property relations. Number 5, the regional, urban, rural planning development. Number 6, the economic, social, and tourism development. Number 7, the educational policies. Number 8, the preservation and development of the cultural heritage. And number 9, such other matters as may be authorized by law for the promotion of the general welfare of the people of the region. So the section 21, the preservation of peace and order within the regions shall be responsibility of the local police agencies, which shall be organized, maintained, supervised, and utilized in accordance with the applicable laws. So the defense and security of the regions shall be the responsibility of the government. So responsibility gapon sa national government ang defense and security of the regions, all regions of the Philippines. So that would be all. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.